Welcome to Lynn Cullen Live, talk radio without the static. Email your questions and comments to lynn at pghcitypaper.com. And now your host, Lynn Cullen.
Hey, welcome. Here we are again. I know I don't sound too excited because, well, I'm not. Anyway, it's June 30th. Well, June's almost behind us. And it's Tuesday. So Susan should be on the line. Susan?
Yes?
How are you?
I'm okay. I'm
oh,
okay.
That's good. That's good.
Yeah, me too. I mean, I think we can admit that we spoke briefly last night, and you threw the ball to me and said, "I'm so sick of talking about this, and I can't then look for something cheerful." Well, I want you to know I have been up since about 5:30 looking for something cheerful. And the closest I could come to are flying snakes, which doesn't seem particularly cheerful to me at all.
Flying snakes?
Yeah, cool. Huh?
Where are they? Just so they're not around here. Where are they?
They're in Asia, in jungles in Asia.
And they really fly, or they
well, well, one would think that they were leaping or maybe even falling, but they are doing it across distances of 60 feet.
Whoa!
So yeah, they're gliding as much as they are flying.
Yeah,
because they don't go up, but they can propel forward further than they should be able to. And if you watch them doing it, they are wiggling as if you would think they were moving on the ground. But some crazy people took 5 of these things and put them in a special box and created fake trees and then photographed them and slowed it down. And in fact, everything is undulating and moving and creating aerodynamics in order to increase the glide. And the shape of the underbelly changes and the shape of the overscales change. I mean, it's all very interesting, but it's not, it's just.
But it's not. This is not something that people didn't know about. It's just.
No, it's just that when you saw the snake doing that, and you sat there and said, "Is that falling or is that flying? And how did it go that far?" Someone, decided to answer.
Somebody figured it out. Yeah.
Right.
Well, that's pretty cool. I also.
But I have to admit that's a little meager for being at it since 5.
Well, the thing is, it's not about anything having to do with all the horrors. So no, I find, and actually, I found one thing too, and it's sort of in the same, I guess, sort of realm of science, and. This is a positive about the pandemic. A positive about the pandemic is since fewer people are traveling in the United States, this is only about the United States, they are not spending time in hotels and motels and things like that. And so it is expected that fewer people will be infested with bed bugs during the pandemic.
Oh, you mean the pandemic is hard on bed bugs?
Well, it's not that it's hard on them. It's that we're not, they come. Yeah, they travel with us. They get in our luggage, in our clothes, and then they come home with us. And apparently, no, nothing's hard on bed bugs. They've been around for, millennia.
Yeah, they don't like extreme heat. That's how you kill them. You put a big bag around your room and you heat it up to 100,000 degrees, and then they die.
Oh. Well, thank God that's one thing I've never had to deal with. But it did say in the article...
over your shoulder, spit, do whatever you have to do.
I'll tell you, they do list the most bed bug infested cities in America. You want to hear them?
Well, Chicago's got to be up there.
Oh, yeah, it is. First is Washington, D.C.
Well, with all the vermin there, what do you?
Yeah, I know, exactly. I mean, big shocker there.
Yeah, right.
Followed by Baltimore, which probably, gets them from Washington, D.C.
They're right next to Washington.
I know. Baltimore, poor Baltimore. Anyway, and coming in third, Susan, yes, would be your Chicago. And then Los Angeles, and then for some reason Columbus, Ohio. And only then do we get to New York City. So, just saying. Oh, God. That was my good news. That's how pathetic things are. And I have to tell you, I'm sitting here. I normally am surrounded by, tons of scraps of paper with highlighted things. And I got next to nothing here. And I realize that I'm just sort of running out of steam. And, because I'm
so we're going to put the challenge out to whoever is listening here that if you've got something entertaining, do us a favor and call. Although, and I think we ought to start looking for the bright sides to pandemics. I mean, we know that one of them is that it has totally taken away the difference between distant loved ones and friends and nearby loved ones and friends, because they are all the same distance away, which is to say, not with you. So it brings the far away ones so much closer. I mean, really, for me, who fled her home 6 years ago, or 5 years ago, it reminded me that no, everybody's still where they belong, and they're all still there, and I can access them whenever I need or want them. That's an important lesson to all of us.
Mm-hmm. This is true. And I also think, here's another positive, I think the enforced slowing down of our hectic run, get, buy lives, has been a good thing. Although it's trashed the economy. But our economy is built on this sort of
Our economy is built on unnecessary
overconsumption. Yeah.
Right.
Right.
And it would help us all to figure this out better.
Yeah.
We really should be writing down lessons from the pandemic. Can we take them forward? And then I was reading a letter in what is not Ann Land, Dear Abby, I guess it is now, or whoever it is, but some man complaining that he was worried about his wife because she used to take such care with her appearance, and now she doesn't put on makeup and she's wearing the same thing all the time, and she doesn't get all gussied up for him, and he doesn't like it.
Mm-hmm.
And my reaction was,
tough.
And what do you do for her?
Yeah, what's he doing different?
Is he putting on mascara, doing his nails, putting on lipstick, tarting himself up in order to make himself attractive and different from the way he looks for his wife?
Exactly. No, that is such a positive. I, who would never walk out my front door without makeup on, never do it now, constantly, do not wear any makeup. And at first I found looking at myself a little difficult. And little by little, I now look at myself.
You learn to accept the way you live.
Yeah, I think, there I am. It's okay.
I look just fine.
Yeah.
This is what I look like.
And I don't have polish on my toenails, on my fingernails.
No.
And they look fine. I mean, my feet look like hell no matter what I do, but, fine. Just fine. And the amount of time.
And money.
And money. Boy, I bet cosmetics companies
are terrified. I don't mean to kill all these businesses, but I would like to say to men who are thinking about complaining that their wives are walking around happily au natural, that's exactly the way you should love her. That's exactly the way you should find her the most attractive.
There she is.
And when she feels that she has to paint herself, your loving response should be, why would you do that? You're beautiful.
Yeah.
That's
we've
how
been
we
conditioned.
should be walking around.
We've all
I mean, I've got a cousin that I was ahead of my time. I stopped wearing my makeup when I noticed it just settled in the cracks, and I no longer thought it made me look any better. Mm-hmm. And I thought, well, I'll just stop this nonsense. What do I care anyway? And there has been there was principally one male cousin that found it important to remind me that I looked better with makeup. And I finally looked at him and I said, well, to you, I said, I'm sorry.
I can imagine who this
You'll
is.
Have to,
do I know who this is?
Sure.
Yes, right. She who has all the answers, right. She's just being helpful.
He's being helpful. And we'll forget the point that this is a person that is well into his ninth decade. Him.
Oh, okay. I thought it was
ninth decade. His wife.
Yes.
Well, I'm sure they both agree.
Right. Okay.
With coal black hair and not a wrinkle on his face, and thinks that nobody can imagine that he's
old.
Not 40.
I don't know. Well, so all of that is...
So I think this is all good. I really do. Let's go back and reprioritize. And when we find that, we'll find out, look at how much money we just saved. Really? I mean, I'm serious. Look at how much women were getting weekly manicures. Let's just give them monthly pedicures, although women were going in every 2 weeks. Their hair colored, done, cut.
I have a friend who's using this time to blissfully go gray.
Yeah.
And she had not, and you know what? She looks fantastic. She's loving it. And I think a lot of women are doing that now. Let's all use this time to become who we really are without artifice. Yeah. Right?
I know. A lot of my friends, and I do have friends that are older than I, and their hair has gotten, blonder and browner as mine got grayer and grayer, and finally during this, they too have, been forced to lose the color, and are finding out, much to their amazement, that what is underneath is beautiful.
Yeah. Right.
And that there's nothing wrong if you're 75 with having beautiful, natural hair. I hate all of this crap.
I know. Well,
although the Fab Five, what's his name? The guy that does the hair that everybody just loves these days. I don't understand.
I don't know.
I don't know. Jonathan Von Ness is his name, but he said that he came out for women going gray, too. Just be who you are. It's not, just be who you are.
You go.
All this artifice.
Artifice. Down with artifice. Who's that? Okay, so Bree writes, he's in Malaysia. Don't worry about the bed bugs. They'll survive. That's true. I ain't worrying about them, believe me, and await their next opportunity. I'm sure they can survive for some ungodly length of time without sustenance. Actually, that is absolutely true, and there's...
there's also, 10 centuries worth of skin in any hotel mattress for them to live off of indefinitely.
I think they want blood, though, don't they? They want blood. But... it says right here in that article that bed bugs can live for many months without feeding on human blood. Many months. So they'll wait for us. They'll be fine. Bree says we had bed bugs in Dubai, but our place was super minimalist, so we were able to eradicate them with relative ease. Well, that's another good reason for not like having too many material objects. If you have to fumigate a place,
or throw out your furniture and start
yeah,
all over.
exactly. And he also says, I also read about the sliding or flying snakes. And in other news, Blackpink, one word, has set a new YouTube record for most watched video. I don't know who Blackpink is.
Well, if we watch, we'll increase his record and we'll find out, or its record, or their record.
Blackpink. Well, I can't be looking it up as anyway.
I can.
Although you can. You go for it. Let's see.
Keep going.
Blackpink.
Keep going, Lynn.
Oh God, because all I have here is the usual stuff and the usual suspects, and I can't deal with it. It's occurred to me that
Blackpink is a girl group.
Okay.
For it looks like K-pop. They look Asian.
Oh, okay. Okay.
Yep, K-pop. I was right. Blackpink is a South Korean girl group formed by YG Entertainment.
Okay. Well, good for them. I have to tell you, I watched. I think I said this yesterday, but Sunday night, the Black Entertainment Television.
Did you? I told Mom we goofed. We should have watched it.
Oh God. Now, it wasn't wall-to-wall wonderful. There were things where I thought, oh, come on, I didn't appreciate that or like that, but that's because it's a compilation of a lot of different artists doing their thing. Oh, my God. There was so much wonderful stuff. And I would suspect that if you go to BET.com,
you could get it on demand. Yeah.
You could get it on demand. Or even CBS, which aired it on demand. And I recommend, I didn't watch the entire thing, but just the first video alone is worth it. It starts with, apparently this has been out there forever, but of course I'm not that with it. So I had never seen it. It starts with this young black boy who I later found out is named Kedron Bryant. And it's this really tight shot of his head, and he's singing. And it is that's the first thing. And it is amazing. And it turns out he is an internet sensation because of that he put that out. And it's I don't know if he wrote it himself, but
is that the one with the kid singing, I Just Want to Live?
Yes, I'm a young black man. I just want to live. Yeah. He's a 12-year-old. I just want to live. And it is so powerful. And there are other wondrous things. I would just, if you can, because people are always saying, well, I don't know what to watch. Watch that, please. It is amazing. Amazing. Oh, well, Susan, they're closing the bars down here at 5. That's the end of that.
Well, here's the problem. And I was talking to a guy, another plus of a pandemic, a guy that's sort of become my friend in the course of the pandemic, who is McKim, the manager and family owner of a centuries-old hotel and restaurant in De Pere, Wisconsin. Excuse me, called the Union Hotel. And which is, I guess, topical. But okay, so why was I telling you about McKim?
Something.
What were you just talking about?
Oh, that's not fair. Do you think I know?
We were just talking about the BET Awards, and McKim. Okay, so why did that bring up him? Okay, never mind. I
said the bar's opening. Bar's opening.
Oh, bar's opening. Thank you. Okay, so
two old ladies trying to
but that's the
the
connection that I needed. Okay, bar's opening. So he had been sustaining his operation by doing. They have a wonderful restaurant by doing takeout of the restaurant, and then Wisconsin started opening, and then he has to decide what to do. So they have a very popular bar. I mean, a huge amount of income out of their bar. He was not opening the bar, and he was socially distancing.
And
tables.
Let's explain. This is not a bar where a bunch of 20-somethings hang. This is like a good old older people bar. This is an older people sports bar before there was such a thing as an older people sports bar. It's got a little TV, if it could have rabbit ears on it, it would. But it's in Green Bay, Wisconsin, so if it's during, a game, there's got to be you've got to have it on. So there's this little TV there. But yes, it's older folk. It is, but it's. I mean, I went to dinner there before my prom, to give you an idea of this place, and it was old then. The wallpaper on the dining room wall was new then, but it's the same now. It hasn't changed. Pretty.
It's beautiful. It hasn't changed in the ensuing, 50-plus years. But anyway, so I went by to pick up some takeout because I didn't care they were opening. I wasn't going, correct? And I said, "How's it going, McKim?" Through the window, and he shrugged, and he said what I always thought. He said, "The problem is that the people who are itching to come are exactly the ones you don't want."
There's a truth.
Well,
and
it's true.
What he meant by that is
the people that are least careful and most eager to start life again are the people that you would prefer stayed away. You'd like the ones that have been quarantining to come in. But that's not how it works, So, we'll see what happens. But he's been very careful because he did. Nope, can't. No one's coming to the bar, and there's just a couple of tables here and there. That's it.
That is it's an iconic place. Been around for, you said, it's like 150 years. Easy.
Well, the Union Hotel was built in 1854 or something like that.
It's
interesting. You can actually go on their Facebook page, the Union Hotel, De Pere, Wisconsin, and McKim, the guy that I'm talking about, has a series of historical videos and lessons about the hotel and the area, and they're fascinating. He's a historian.
It's a wonderful little place. Anyway, here Chuck has come up. Thank you, Chuck. He says some welcome side effects of the pandemic. More family time.
Yes.
Doing nothing and not feeling bad about it. Yes.
No,
I used to beat myself up if I spent
you lazy bitch. I would sit around calling myself names. You lazy, good for nothing piece of crap.
And now I spend days on end doing nothing. Okay, he's got some more. Oh, these are good, Chuck. No daily commute. Yes. Breathing cleaner air. Yes. Ever so small slowing of climate change as a result. And again, he now that he was thinking about the air, and some evidence that the ozone is repairing itself. And he said, getting to know your neighbors. He says, but for me, this hasn't been a negative, as they are all Trumpsters. Yeah, that would be a negative. But absolutely. See, those are good things. Look at the good things. So yeah, the bars are reopening. That one of the local are closing. Oh no! I'm sorry.
Who died?
Carl Reiner.
Oh, well, he was
98.
98. He's
just what a wonderful character. For those who aren't placing him, I mean, he created the Dick Van Dyke Show.
Dad. He's Meathead's dad. He's Meathead's dad.
Yeah, but he created the Dick Van Dyke Show. He's funny as hell. Good friend of Mel Brooks. I mean, the two of them together.
They were Sid Caesar, Carl Reiner, and Mel Brooks were all just compatriots, and writers at the same time. But Carl Reiner was just a good guy.
Oh, good guy. He was out there on Twitter, too. I think he tweeted just the other day. I just saw a tweet.
He was very active politically.
He was going gangbusters right up until the end then. God bless him. Okay, that's a life well lived. Damn. But back to the bars closing down. A local columnist and also a comedian, Gene Collier, wrote, it's the headline in the paper today is, "Are we too dumb to overcome coronavirus?" And
we just might be.
Yeah, I think we, as he said, have we crossed the Rubicon where rampant community dumbassery now obliterates any way forward? And it's a question that some of us have been pondering. Are we? I mean, I keep saying all these idiots in this country are going to kill us all.
Well, I think it's down to 36%, but about 30% of the country.
Like 40. Yeah.
Okay, 40% of the country, really, their platform is fighting for their right to be dumbasses.
Yeah.
I mean, right down the line. I only want to believe in lies. I only want to, I just want to have my guns. I don't want to, you're wearing a mask as a political. I mean, you name it.
Yeah.
Anti-vaxxing. I mean, it's just.
I know. Anyway, he concludes, if our most recent existential crisis was World War II, give a thought now and again to the sacrifices our grandparents made. They worked on the clock for the war, ration gas, kerosene, shoes, sugar, coffee, meat, canned fish, cheese, canned milk, bicycles, typewriters, on and on. It is embarrassing. They did all that for 4 years and not knowing what the outcome would be, and losing their sons and all the shit. And we can't even stay out of bars for 4 months or wear.
No, I mean, I need a haircut. I want to get my nails done. I mean, it's embarrassing.
Yeah.
It's embarrassing.
I'm looking for. Oh, I don't have it. I'm looking for something that my friend posted that she saw on who knows, Twitter or something, and it is a local bar restaurant owner who is beside himself about having to close down again, and is defiant, and is put out somewhere in Oakmont, for those of you. It was put out that he will stay open until 5 p.m. serving everybody, and then he calls the county executive, names, and as if his freedom is being violated. what do these people don't understand about something bigger than their own? What don't they get?
But it also begs the question that, that big stimulus program is coming to an end with something like $170 billion that never went out to people like him because they put so many restrictions on it that people were afraid to use it for fear that they get fined, have to give the money back. And so all these businesses that could have stayed closed and paid their employees and paid their rent and not suffered, that was the intent. Never got to the money. $170 billion.
Yeah, there's
didn't
something.
go out.
Yeah.
And what did go out went to those big corporations for the most part.
I know. Well,
sorry, I'm sorry, you just can't do this without looping back to the central horror of the time, that we are this huge country, 369 million people afloat on a totally rudderless ship.
Yeah,
it's scary.
Yeah. It's scary. The EU has come out with a list of countries that they'll allow people to visit from, and of course, we're not on it. We are a pariah nation, which we should be.
And I got a good friend who lived her life in Italy, and whose son is newly married, and whose wife is pregnant, and she's canceled her first trip. Now she has tickets to go again, and even though she holds dual citizenship, she probably can't
go either because she's coming from this infested
coming from here
nation.
Yeah.
Pam writes, "Good morning. Have you watched Afterlife on Netflix? It's Ricky Gervais, who has always made me nervous when I
yeah, he makes me nervous too.
He makes everybody nervous. Seen him on an occasional award show, but in this, he's grieving the death of his wife. It's uproariously funny, which seems like and devastatingly heart-wrenching, all within the confines of a 25-minute episode.
Okay, thank you. Go ahead.
That sounds like something you can, uproariously funny and devastatingly heart-wrenching. That sounds
I love to laugh, cry.
Yeah, and it's called Afterlife on Netflix. And then I love what Pam says after this. She says to me in closing, "Have a tolerable day." Thank you. That is so right on the money.
No, every once in a while I have these little things that run through my mind that don't make any sense. One of which is it's a good life. And, I'll be living I'll be stuck in Green Bay in the middle of the pandemic, and I'll be walking down the hall thinking, it's a good life. And then go, what the hell do you mean it's a good life? But my default brainwaves are, it's a good life. It's okay. Everything's okay. I mean, I think it's sort of interesting. This is the inner working of my crazy head. It sends me these little messages every once in a while, and I never noticed them until they became like oxymoronic. Then I started to notice them. But I think it's like my brain chemistry. What do you think?
It's probably your brain chemistry because you got a lot of serotonin going, which is not something I have going.
No, I'm mother in that regard, yes.
Right. Lucky you. So I just want to put in some context. I'm getting serious again for a second. What's happening now in Allegheny County, where I suspect most of those listening live. The daily new cases have been just over the top. 95 on Saturday, 96 on Sunday. I might be getting these slightly wrong, 80-something yesterday. And just so you know, so you can put those numbers in context. I happened to, while reading the New York Times today, see how these upticks in other places are causing great concern. And I see that in Tokyo, there is great concern because they logged 58 new cases yesterday. Guys, that's Tokyo. What the hell is the population of Tokyo? It's huge. Allegheny County? Not so much. Tokyo's concerned with 58 new cases. We have hundreds and hundreds just coming at us. They also stated that in Victoria, Australia, that's an entire huge state, one of their states, they're concerned. 75 new cases. So just to get your head around where we are right now. And the thing is we've all sort of gotten less concerned. You know, we've lived through 3, 4. This is now a more dangerous place than it has been since this began. Just want to reiterate that. We have a caller. Hello, caller.
Good morning, Lynn and Susan.
Good morning.
Well, continuing on this depressing theme, I'm sure both of you saw the video of the guy shouting the white power the other day.
Yeah, the president retweeted. Yeah.
Well, there was only one image over the past few days that was more apocalyptic in my mind than that. And I wanted to ask you, did either of you see the shot of the couple standing in front of their...
Oh, sure.
Sure. How could you miss that?
Yeah.
That's the image of St. Louis. That is the
Yes.
totally accurate image of St. Louis. And those are two Democratic lawyers.
They're Democrats?
They're Democrats.
Well,
Let's expel
I
them.
didn't realize that was St. Louis. I wasn't sure what city that was in. But
That's St. Louis.
Louis?
That's St. Louis, and that is, there you go, folks. That's the totally accurate picture of St. Louis.
Well, because as you've always said, it's a rich town and it's filled with racists who belong to all parties, I guess, right?
Yep.
Well,
And as their lawyer said this morning, just because they're melanin challenged doesn't mean that they're racist.
Oh, my God. Well, I have something else that their lawyer said. Listen to this. I mean, it's mind-blowing. What gall. Their lawyer writes, the peaceful protesters were not the subject of scorn or disdain by the couple. To the contrary, they were expecting and supportive of the message of the protesters.
They were there to protect them.
Yeah, this is what I do, and I'm supportive. I point long guns and pistols at the people. And then the lawyer goes on to say it was actions of violence and destruction of property and acts of threatening aggression by a few commingling with the peaceful protesters, which is, excuse me, bullshit. There was no evidence whatsoever that those marchers were anything but consistently peaceful.
And by the way, if the marchers were armed in St. Louis, they had every legal right.
Right, yeah, they could have been.
The Republican legislature made sure of that. And by the way, they didn't break in any gates. There's a pedestrian gate with a doorknob on it.
Yes, they didn't break in. They walked right through. They weren't trespassing. They weren't doing anything.
Well, they were trespassing. It's a private street, but you know that's really big.
Well, my comment about that is, and then I have a question, Susan, for you, if you can answer it. My comment is, you know, when you just look at the expressions on their faces, I think you just have to be, on some level, sad that you can imagine how desperately afraid they are of life, and to hide behind that fortress of a home and think that there is any safety to be had in that life. It's really pathetic and really sad, I think. But my question, Susan, is, it would be one thing for them to even somebody who is legally permitted to carry, but there were actually shots of her, the wife, pointing her handgun at the crowd.
Right. Adam. I'm looking at a picture right now. She's literally
no. She's and wiggling it at Adam. If you watch the video, and there was one moment there where I was sort of praying she'd blow her own husband's head off. But that's what, if you interview
the legal in and of itself, is it?
Oh yeah, they're protecting. That's the castle doctrine. I mean, this is St. Louis.
They're protecting their property. It's perfectly okay.
I'm just telling you, those people nothing's going to happen to them except for our complete national, making them miserable. Because everybody in St. Louis, if you Google the St. Louis Post-Dispatch and read the article about it, you'll see 150 comments, and they're all on their side. And
St. Louis, way to go.
They're trespassing, and so I'm just telling you, for any of you that think that this is a skewed view of my adopted home, St. Louis, this is about as factual as you get. It's a city that pretends like it's sophisticated and Eastern, and it is about as everything negative Southern that you can get.
Yeah.
Well, that's very sad. And on that note, I'll wish both of you a lovely day.
Yeah, now I'm bummed.
Thank you. And we wish you a tolerable day.
Well, yeah. It did make leaving easy. It's sad, but but I want to stress, these are Democrats. They gave to Democrat causes.
We don't want them. Well, they're white people, and white people, there's tons of racists and lunatics they're American white people.
No, I really think we can plumb this for more
people.
Information. I think we can use this because these are people that I do believe the day before they did this pretended that they weren't racist.
God almighty.
And maybe it'll help us all understand that no matter how woke we think we are,
those
and
people
how not
woke.
we think we are,
Jesus.
We need to.
Yeah, they're so woke they had an arsenal in front of their, mansion. Jesus,
right.
God. Well, thank you, caller, if I haven't before. Thank you. The New York Times.
Oh, and I'd also like to say that fortress that they live in,
yeah,
that's how they live in St. Louis. My sister can
yeah,
verify.
it is. There's all these big, huge. I mean, it's really repulsive.
There are neighborhoods after neighborhoods after neighborhoods of faux mansions.
Yeah,
for miles in all directions.
I know.
In St. Louis and St. Louis County. The really treasure is to find something that you and I would call a house.
God. So. New York Times, I love it, said this about them and the protesters, who, by the way, you could see the fear on the protesters' faces.
Protesters were terrified. Mostly
the guys, the people who are like marshals of the march, saying, just keep moving, just, don't engage them, keep moving. Which they all do. So the New York Times said this: the confrontation, which looked like something out of a Quentin Tarantino film, and it does.
Well, it does. It's straight out of Central Casting with his pink shirt and his khaki shoes, barefoot, nonchalantly holding his submachine gun, and her, strangely blonde.
And they're both personal injury lawyers. That's why they're Democrats, because that's what, Republicans are always saying, tort reform, tort reform. It's what, lawyers who are into making lots of money doing personal injury suits love the Democratic Party. Isn't that right?
Let me just say that other lawyers even call personal injury lawyers ambulance chasers.
Yeah, no, really, bottom feeders generally. Not all, because if you
Not all.
have a person,
I have a very good friend that's a bottom.
Yeah, but I know plenty of them. Yeah. Okay, so Henry writes, I think one of the best things to come out of this pandemic is that companies are realizing their workers can be productive from home. This may be a negative for companies in the business of selling office space, but think of the reduced gas emissions. Think of the money companies will save on office space rent. I've been working from home since 2006, and some people will not have the discipline to make this work, but most will enjoy some wonderful freedoms if they can make it work. I've never missed one of my daughter's after-school soccer games, for example. The money you save in gas for your car alone is like getting a raise. The infrastructure for the remote office space model is getting an incredible boost from this pandemic. Yeah, I agree with that. And, meanwhile, Henry.
But can I just interrupt for a second and say, one of the important things that he said is have the discipline to do it.
Yes.
I've watched my son work from home for several years now, and I've been amazed that he can just go up to his office and sit there as if he's at his office and work. I would be so distracted by everything around me. So it's a skill, I'll say that, but go ahead, Lynn.
I'm somebody who, I don't know. I would need to have more structure myself.
Well, and there's also.
I wanted to say that what they're doing here, there's so much building going on here and in my neighborhood, and they just keep putting up more and more office buildings.
Maybe we should look at our homeless problem and turn some of them into houses.
Yeah, what craziness.
Well, we're going to have to retrofit and reuse lots of these buildings anyway, and that's an obvious thing. Put people in them.
Look, Sharon, said, I just thought of two funny things. One, I remember when your dog, I think her name was Lucy, would run away every day, and you would tell us about it on the radio. So that wasn't Lucy who ran away. That was, God, what was that dog?
Who's that? Oh, that was the one you had to adopt out. And that's
Fred. Fred Whiskers. Fred Whiskers. Fred Whiskers, who lasted all of a week or two with me. I mean, there was no way. Yeah, I opened the door, and he was an escape artist. He was amazing. The cops knew him by sight. The animal control knew him. I once got a call from the Animal Rescue League saying, we have your dog here. And I said, no, he's in the backyard. No, he wasn't. He said, oh, there he's done it again. And what was weird, I can't quite remember the story, but it's when I was working at WTAE TV and radio, I guess, and I came into... I got rid of Fred Whiskers. I went on the air.
I know the story.
I had adopted him because, he had come, I think, on the show, because I did this thing trying to get animals homes, and I took him home, and what am I trying to say? And Fred Whiskers, it just wasn't working out. So I did a long mea culpa on the radio and saying, I have done what you're not supposed to do when you get a adopted animal, which is do it spur of the moment, not think clearly, and not be ready for, I said, I screwed up and I've messed this poor dog up by bringing him to my house and it's not working and I'm going to have to bring him back. And I really want one of you who has the capacity to deal with this escape artist to get him. He's a wonderful dog. So I brought him back, and I was told he was adopted out almost immediately. Cut to, 3 months later maybe? I come to work, drive into the parking lot at TAE, and there's a police car in front, and I go in, and the receptionist says, "Oh, Lynn, there has been real trouble here. There's a guy who says he has Fred Whiskers, and somehow he wanted me to take him back. I don't know what, and I can't remember this. All I know is I end up on the second floor looking down at the parking lot where there are 2 now police cars and a convertible with Fred Whiskers sitting in the passenger seat. And this guy who was threatening me for some reason, I can't quite remember. He
wanted to have joint custody with you.
It was joint custody. That was it. I can't remember. It was so bizarre. But he was threatening me and poor Fred Whiskers. So I Susan, my brain is just shot. I can't remember.
No, well, that's what it was. He had adopted the dog with some weird fantasy that you could that you would share custody, and he was doing you this favor, and he had done it to get close to you. It was weird.
It was weird. Anyway, I remember the cops saying, do you want to take out a PFA on this guy and blah, blah, blah. And I said, just make sure the dog's okay. Can you get the dog? It's awful. So that was, and I, to this day, don't know what happened to Fred Whiskers. Oh, geez. Anyway, who is
what else was in that email?
The other thing on the email is she thought of 2 funny things. That was the one. 2, you went to dinner with 2 dear ladies I knew, the twins, Dory Rudolph and Naomi Cohen, and they told me they outdrank you that night. That takes some doing. We laughed about that for a long time. I loved those women, still feeling sad. Okay, Dory, these are 2 identical twins, Dory and Naomi, and they were beautiful, and they were well into their 80s when we had dinner. It was them and me and a personal trainer who worked out them and me, and we went to this wonderful little restaurant where you have to bring your own liquor. So we brought, I think, 2 bottles of wine. And I have to tell you, at this point, Naomi was on oxygen.
What does that have to do with anything?
She was carrying a thing and had, a tubes in her nose. And Dory was, and they were the funniest. We had the greatest dinner, but what ended up happening is I don't think we were halfway through, and those 2 bottles were gone. And the trainer got up and left, went back to a state store, and came back with, I think, 2 more bottles. And I'm there with these 2 80-plus-year-old twins, one on oxygen, and a personal trainer and me, and we polished off 4 bottles of wine that night. I don't know who outdrank who, but I remember thinking, wow, these 2 old girls, man. And we had such a ball that night. And I'm sure people must have been looking at, this table full of, old women, getting plastered. Oh, Anyway, Naomi died about 5-6 years ago, I think, and Dory just died.
I knew back pre-pandemic when I had passed from, into old age cute, when bartenders would start buying me drinks because of the way I could pour them down. They just thought I was cute, Look at that old broad drink.
Wait a minute. Leon in Georgia just sent me this. What does it say about us that, and then he has this headline, violinists tear-gassed by riot police.
Right. Oh, didn't you hear about that?
Wait. He says, what does it say about us that is way down the list of news stories? What? Where are violinists tear-gassed by riot police?
It was a vigil for the kid that they killed. The
Which
violinist.
Kid?
There was a in outside Colorado. There was a young.
Okay, him. Yes, okay.
Yes, the guy that was all covered up in the mask because he was a little nuts.
Yeah, and he was always cold.
And he had his headphones on, and he didn't hear them when they stopped him first. And then they blocked his carotid artery and they killed him.
Yeah.
So they were holding a vigil in which it was just a bunch of people playing classical violin music, and the next thing you hear are people screaming, "No, no, no!" And they just stormtroopers effing marching in and tear gassing them and shooting. You
not shooting.
Well, shooting tear.
Yeah, okay. Good God. What is with these cops? You would think that they would think 3, 4, 5 times before they issued such an order to their cops. Yeah.
I'm not so naive as to think that these are just police officers that are doing it, on their own. They're being given orders.
I don't know.
And there were also outside this thing several reports of people that were police officers making fun of the proceedings, mocking.
Yes, I heard that. They were they went to where they killed the poor kid and were reenacting it or something. And I know now there's an investigation into that, but I didn't see they tear gassed the people. Like, what the holy hell? Well, there's a lawsuit now pending brought by protesters here who were tear gassed. And initially the city, the cops, even the mayor who believed the cops, said that there hadn't been tear gas. And later belatedly said, oops, I guess there was tear gas. And there was no reason for it. It was pre any curfew or anything like that. There was no violence going on. And the city's being sued. Wonderful. Great. As well they should be. Okay, Susan, we're running out of time, but I want to just note that this abortion ruling yesterday by the Supreme Court should in no way be, should make,
No, I think it's more about Roberts cementing his...
He's just maneuvering. The fact of the matter is there are at least 16 abortion cases right now heading toward the Supreme Court. They are all in the next level down, the appeals courts, federal appeals courts. And Roberts clearly is going to do what he does, which is slowly, incrementally allow the chipping away of women's ability for bodily autonomy.
I think he also wants to chalk up some good press. I think he wants to take some heat off the court. I think he wants to try and position the court as if it is not biased in any way and can behave itself in a court-like fashion. I take absolute. I don't believe it for a second.
No.
To the extent that it inures to our benefit, I'll take it. But
Yes,
you don't think it means anything.
No, it doesn't mean a damn thing, and this court is just waiting.
But if you read the press, that's not what the press is saying. So he accomplished what he was trying to accomplish.
No,
I just
for
want to make it clear.
People who aren't paying attention, and I ask you to look at the New York Times opinion piece today, which is headlined "John Roberts is no pro-choice hero," and don't think for a minute he is. Also, I mean, this is a guy. I can't believe the gall. There was an almost identical case, Susan, right? Just
he dissented.
Where he voted the other way.
No. It was the Texas case that he cited as stare decisis, as in the thing has been decided, so we don't go back and redecide the same case. We live by our decision. In that case, he was on the court, and he wrote the dissent. But that's why this is all legal sleight of hand. He wasn't saying, I think it's right. He wasn't saying, this is when he uses stare decisis, and he says that is the court does not, decide the same case twice, absent totally, different circumstances, which would mean it's not the same case. So in this case, it was essentially the same legislation, which we know is true because these things come out of think tanks, and then the Republican legislatures just, rubber stamp it, and in it goes. Right. So I'm sure it was word for word the same thing, and it gave him the right to say, I'm not going to look at this right now. This comes under the category of stare decisis. That way, he gets credit for not, for overturning this law. And but
he's a smart cookie. He is a smart cookie.
He is manipulating. I just don't want anybody to be fooled by this or lulled into a feeling like it might all be okay. This is not what we are looking at, and you can see by his case, by what he said. Okay, goodbye.
No, I hate to end on this, but the Health Department Daily Report has come out, guys. And it's the worst ever. Okay? Remember, I was telling you Tokyo is freaking because they had 58 new cases yesterday, the huge metropolis of Tokyo. Well, today's report says there has been this is since yesterday, 109 new cases reported. Now, understand, there's many more than that. These are the ones they know. 109 new cases. 9 more people hospitalized. And they say the newest cases, amongst these 109, the people stricken range in age from 10 years old to 86. The median age of these 109 is 26.
Well, closing the bars sounds to make sense.
Yeah. God almighty. Okay, well, I'm sorry to have reported that, but there it is. Okay, guys.
Okay, and Carl Reiner died happily of natural causes.
Yeah, what a great guy. I can't wait to see his obit and be reminded of all the wondrous things. Yeah. And my heart goes out to his son, Rob, and all the people
they should just feel gratitude for having had him for this long and being fortunate enough to have that wonderful person as a dad and a husband and a grandfather.
And to have him with his head totally screwed on for 98 years. That's just wonderful. All right. Okay, Sue.
Okay, bye. Be tolerable.
You too. Bye.
I'm not so good at that. Okay, bye.
Okay, bye. Okay, and I wish a tolerable day to all of you, and I'll maybe come back tomorrow. Bye.
Lynn Cullen Live, Monday through Friday from 10 a.m. to 11 a.m. and archived at pghcitypaper.com. The opinions expressed on Lynn Cullen Live are those of the host and do not necessarily reflect the viewpoints of Pittsburgh City Paper or its advertisers.